Okay, and we're live. Roberts, welcome to the BJJEE Eastern podcast. What's up? How are you doing? And how is the Saturday in Belgrade?
Hi, I'm super happy to be here. We were trying to actually set it up before, but then we did it, and now Gila said, "Let's do this. Let me set this up." So it's a great Saturday morning, sunny, warm. This is exactly why I came to Serbia. I wanted to see Serbian spring after my Mexico winter. So super happy to be here.
For how long have you been in Serbia or Belgrade, actually?
Uh, a month now, and I'm staying for one more month, and then I'm going somewhere else, as I always do.
But you've been in Serbia beforehand, if I can recall correctly, right?
Yes, I was in Serbia actually when I started this traveling lifestyle. Serbia was the first place I wanted to come to. I've heard many good things about particular aspects of Serbia. So yeah, Serbia was my number one place. 1.5 years ago was my first time here.
Okay, so before that like a year and a half ago, you were living a sort of a different lifestyle, if I'm guessing correctly, or?
I was living in one place. I'm originally from Riga, Latvia, which is like a tiny place in northeastern Europe, under Sweden, to those who don't know. Because in Balkans, many have never heard of Latvia. It's like even in Mexico, I was telling people I'm going to Serbia. They said, "Oh, isn't it cold in Siberia?" So that's in Russia.
Man, I can completely agree. Like one time when I was in Texas, like in 2012, we were explaining to this woman on the airport like where we were from because she like heard the language and she figured out later on due to the accents that we're not natural born English speakers. And we were telling like from Bosnia, and she was like, Boston? No, 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 Bosnia, Boston. But I mean, you can kind of get it like Bosnia and Serbia, where like we're small countries, for people like especially the Americans and people abroad from away from the European continent aren't really aware geographically where we're located. So before that, like a year and a half, like before you started the traveling lifestyle, was that like the point where you started being a dating coach, or were you a dating coach even beforehand?
Oh no, man! I have been a dating coach for 3.5 years now. No, 3 years, 3.5, something like that. Because some friends started asking for advice because I was obsessed with the subject. Some friends started asking, and then yeah, I started 3.5 years ago, or three. I don't even remember, honestly.
And how did it start?
Uh, I was a good I was a good church boy because my business name is Saint Robert.
Yeah, I was figuring that it was like some sort of a sarcasm or something.
Yeah, no, actually, there is a story because I used to go on dates, and my date venue, the bar I went to, was like 50, 100 meters. It's like 200, 300 feet away from this Orthodox church in Latvia. And then when we were talking when I was talking with girls, I would say to them that every Sunday I go to the church and I pray for my sins. And then my friends call me Saint Robert. But of course, all the girls knew that I was just joking. And when I was walking with them home, I would say, "Not today. We have to go to church first. I have to introduce you to my parents." But yeah, how did it all start? I was a good church boy, relationship type of guy. I was in several long-term relationships, and honestly, I never really felt truly happy within them, while being in them. And every time when I was in a serious relationship, I tried to do more and more what they say is the right thing to do. How they say you should behave in a relationship as a man and take charge, and I don't know, all of that stuff. And then at one point, I thought, well, I'm trying to do the right thing and it doesn't work. So maybe I am not the problem. Maybe the idea of how we view relationships these days is a problem. And I started Googling, and I found that the divorce rates are incredibly high, like unbelievably high in the world. Divorce, like what is like the 50% or something like that. I might be wrong. It depends on the country. And it gets better over time. I think there was like a third marriage was the happiest one or something like that. But then I was also thinking about the high divorce rate. Imagine those are only the people who decided to get divorced. How many people are living in unhappy relationships? So I was starting to think maybe that's not the right, maybe that approach isn't working. Let me look at what other approaches are there. And I started Googling how to meet girls. And just as you know, as a BJJ guy, a lot of BJJ guys are geeks. Like,
Yeah.
that's why they do BJJ, because it's like such a technical, nuanced thing. And once you learn that move and they don't know the counter, there's nothing they can do about it. And for me, learning to date women was the same, because it's also a very geeky and technical thing. And unless they know the counter,
You're winning by submission.
yeah, I'm winning by submission. Yeah,
Or at least by points.
by point. So I was learning it, and I started getting really good results. And I almost accidentally met the guy who I learned from. I learned everything from his YouTube videos, and I met him on the street. And he started asking
what's
me.
the name of the guy?
Guy is Tom Torero. He was one of the, you wouldn't, like, unless you're meeting girls in a way that I teach it, you wouldn't, but he was the the biggest name in the industry. And I met him, and he asked me, so how are you doing? What are your results? And back then we were measuring results in statistics. So how many girls do you have to talk to sleep with one? And like, we went completely geeky, really to a crazy level. And I told him my results, and he just said, dude, I don't know whether you know it, but your results are worldwide. Like, your results are like, you're one of the kind of top in the world. You should start teaching this stuff. And I said, maybe one day, I don't know. And I went home and set up a website.
Immediately,
Same day. And I was already blogging about the topic and telling my stories in some Facebook groups, and guys were asking for advice. And I was taking my friends out for, like, I would charge them like nothing, like 50 euro for 2 hours of my coaching. And then I got invited to the biggest podcast in the world on this topic. And as soon as that happened, I had the guys from USA sending me emails like, hey, I'm going to Poland. Would you be willing to go to Poland to teach me? How much would it cost? And I told them the price, and they were like, oh, can I get more hours per day? Because that's a really good price. And I've been doing it ever since. So for 3.5 years, I've been on the biggest podcasts in the world on this topic, and spoken in conferences in Latvia, radio shows. Just crazy things happen when you do this kind of stuff.
what do you enjoy most about your work? I assume it's like seeing like the guys who were, in vague terms, like shy, make sudden success. Like what is it that basically drove you? Okay, let's divide it into two parts actually. The first part, what is it that drove you, basically to starting a dating coaching career? And, aside from people randomly just asking you and finding potential within you. And secondly, like, what do you enjoy most about your work?
So the most important thing for me, again, I'm a geek. When I was learning it myself, I was enjoying the process of hacking how this thing works. And right now, what I'm enjoying most is hacking how coaching works, how to teach people the best, how to help them get the best results. And there are guys that come to me because they want to have some fun. Honestly, yeah, some of them travel the world, they're nomads, they're expats, and they just want to have some fun. And some come because they've had their fun, and now they want to kind of level up the girls they're dating and just find a relationship. So for me, it is really to create systems that help people learn. And I assume it's very similar, again, anyone who runs a BJJ academy, and having traveled and been to not that many academies, but quite few, maybe like 10, 20, I don't know. Every academy is very, very different in the way they structure their trainings. And some you see have less injuries, some have more injuries. And for example, Gile's Academy, Kimura in Serbia, surprisingly, even though they roll like Serbs, they don't know like purple belts know what the light roll is, but other white belts like me, and it's like, you have to be careful with them because they're Serbs. So, and even though they roll like that, there are very few injuries. Why? Because in Gile's Academy, they have very good warm-ups. some of the best warm-ups I've seen wherever I went, and some academies train without warm-ups as well. So it's about creating a system that can creating an environment where your students can learn whatever it is they wanted to learn. Did I answer the question, or was it too?
Yeah, exactly. And in your own environment, when did BJJ introduce itself? Was it in Serbia once you came there for the first time, or was it at some other point, perhaps in Latvia itself or in some other country?
Yeah, I used to do some striking when I was like a little kid, 17, 18. Like, and I did actually this really cool martial art. Like, oh my God, it was, you remember Kudo?
Not
Daido
really.
Judo Kudo. This was this Japanese MMA crazy thing where they would like, they had this helmet with an organic glass in front of your face, and they would like elbow in the face and knee in the face, and it was throws and some ground fighting, maybe like, but up to 20 seconds. It was really cool. I started with that. I did some Japanese jiu-jitsu when I was like 20, but now I started jiu-jitsu maybe 2 years ago, and I wanted to do something because I got kind of, I succeeded in the dating world, and I didn't care much about dates anymore, and I had some evenings where I was watching Netflix and eating unhealthy food. So I was like, I should do something better. And I'm a person of systems, so I thought if I created a distraction,
Okay.
and I was thinking BJJ, that should be my distraction. I didn't want to do striking anymore because you're over 30, and I remember how easy it is to get injured. And I'm 85 kilos, so it's a weight where you don't like, if you're thinking about injury, you don't want to.
You aren't gonna go like, you aren't gonna be fully committed, right?
Yeah, and I BJJ for me is, I know it's not a popular opinion, but to me that is one thing that I force myself to not take seriously, to enjoy it, but keep it as a hobby, not as something I'm kind of goal oriented about. And this is very important to me because I'm very goal oriented about everything I do. So BJJ is one thing where I do it for the love of the sport, for the love of geekiness of it, and then I started traveling, and I just, wherever I went, apart from some like US, because insurance purposes it's tricky if you go to US and you get injured in a place where your medical bill is going to be 50K just because you, I don't know, broke a pinky.
No thanks.
I didn't do that, but wherever else I went, I tried to go to gyms in any country, like whether it's like in Prague or in Antwerp or in Belgrade, Serbia. I even trained in some crazy gyms in Mexico, like some underground gyms, and it's a great way to meet really cool guys as well. Pretty cool people train BJJ.
I mean, that thing that you mentioned just earlier is the thing that I've been talking with my teammate here in Sarajevo. It's about, taking true pleasure in the art of jiu-jitsu. And it's like, he is a guy who is really like goal oriented, and so am I. But the way that we both view jiu-jitsu is kind of a little bit different. It's like he wants to go to as many classes in a week, roll as much as possible, whereas I'm actually kind of content with going about 3 to 4 times per week, plus having additional, I don't know, like running or doing pull-ups, sort of physical exercises. And it's like, I understand his point of view because he's a little bit older than I am, and he's trying to make as much progress as possible before like injuries start creeping up on him. Whereas I'm just basically like thinking, okay, like I'm in this for the long term, and it's like the black belt, whether or not it's a metaphorical, whether or not it's a real one, is somewhere out there. It's going to be reached, but there's no need to really rush the art. It's like, enjoy it. And that's something that I kind of feel, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's something that I kind of feel is true for you. And it's perhaps even more true because jiu-jitsu as a hobby that you truly enjoy melds really well into your nomadic lifestyle, into your travel lifestyle. So it's basically two components that you really enjoy.
Yeah, it's one of the things I try to do in any place I go to. Like, I just find the weirdest gyms, and and sometimes, like, I actually, one thing I tend not to do is I don't go to the main gym in a city. I try to find, I don't know why, it's just when I go to there's always in one city, there's the biggest gym. So when you go to that one and then you go to the second largest gym, The second one is usually more fun.
Uh-huh.
It's like sorry, it's like more fucked up in a way. Like the guys there are a bit crazier and they're a bit more interesting characters, and they're not very kind of, they're not like you have to wear our gi and rush guard.
Perhaps it's easier to make a connection because it may also be due to the fact like there isn't as many people and the community is more tightly knit, right? So you can like once you meet the people there, you become friends with them faster.
I actually become friends with people everywhere I go, and I have a few ways I do about like I do this. There are a few intentional ways I've learned because of my job about how to build connection with people faster when you go to a new gym.
Like which ones?
Well, one thing I do if and I'm a forever white belt, and I plan to stay. I don't even wear my stripes. I don't want to. I don't care about that. Like no stripes, no nothing. Fuck that. So, and I'm actually when a purple belt rolls with me, asks me to roll, like offers to roll, I'm actually always very grateful, and I'll say thank you 3 times because it's always like I've learned so much. So, but I love to hang out with everyone in the gym. But one thing that I will do is when you walk in a gym, you will notice that there is a corner. Like when you come in with your water bottle and your mouth guard, and so you set it down somewhere on the floor or in a corner. And in some gyms, you'll notice that there is a corner where like the top guys in the gym set their stuff down. And there is the place where everyone else sets their stuff down. So I'll go and put my stuff down where the top people put it down, and I'll just sit down here because I just walked in. I don't know where I'm supposed to sit. And then you start talking to them. So that is one thing you just kind of,
it's a good tactic.
Make sure you are around the people that are. So when others see you associating with kind of the top of the hierarchy, you instantly gain credibility. That's a little trick, but you have to be very humble about it. And if you have any like a slightest feeling that it is not an okay thing to do, you should never do that. And be very careful because BJJ is a fragile environment, but some have more kind of weird rules and others have less. So that is one thing. But the other thing is, and for me it's easy because of what I do for a living. For example, I walk in a gym and I will always reach out to the gym owners, like, because hey, like I would want to visit your gym. I'm traveling, da 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 da. So, and when I start chatting to people there, they ask me, oh, what do you do? And I tell them what I do. And as soon as I tell them what I do, they're like, oh my God, tell me more. That's amazing.
It's a good conversation starter, man.
It's a good conversation starter. So, but obviously not everyone is a dating coach. Yeah. But that's not the point. The point is everyone has an interesting way to tell what they do, to tell where they're from. You can answer, where are you from? Oh, I'm from Bosnia. I'm from Latvia. I usually just say, oh, I'm from this small village you've never heard about. It's called Latvia. No internet, no electricity. Everyone has chickens at home. and they're laughing. And boom, we have a nice connection instantly. So small things like that, instead of saying, oh, I'm from Bosnia, like I work as this and I do that, spark it up, be more fun. If your hobby is jogging, you can say, I wear like this kind of tight-fitting, very, very, very weird looking outfit, and yeah, let's not, yeah, and people love that.
Yeah, I mean, it's like basically from what I get from you is like 2 things. The first thing is, of course, be respectful, and okay, 3 things basically. First of all, be respectful, reach out to the coach once you're traveling to another gym, ask whether or not you should be wearing a gi, a no gi, if there are any rules perhaps that one should follow or not. Secondly, it's like be willing enough to, engage with people if you see that the environment is receptive enough for the people themselves. As you mentioned, like not in every gym you want to approach the mat enforcer immediately and be immediately friendly with them. Like it takes a little bit of tact and a little bit of experience, I assume. And the third of all is like, and this is something like that we could philosophize about, but I'm not I'm not sure whether or not we should talk about it more in depth. But it's like, when you go into a gym, when you go into a different place, you're a little bit restricted. You're thinking whether or not are these people going to judge me? Are they going to judge my skill? Does this, in my case, for example, I'm a blue belt. It's like, okay, I'm a blue belt, but what if the white belts here demolish me? Am I truly a blue belt? You get inside your head, whereas you should really be trying to and forcing yourself in the start, in my opinion, to open yourself up, to joke on your own behalf, and to basically reach out and say, hey, I'm doing this or this. What are you doing? So it's like, it's a really good piece of advice. And I think that this is something that's going to be really helpful to people who are traveling and who are thinking about like maybe even visiting another gym out like on the other side of the city or whatever. It's like, the most obstacles that we form are within our own heads. And I think it's the same thing with dating. And I think it's the same thing with BJJ.
Actually, I think it's a good topic. Maybe let's talk a little bit about what other things guys can do to make sure they are treated very well when they arrive at a new gym. I think it's a great topic.
It's a great one. Okay.
Well, let's start with wear a rash guard. Different gyms have different rules about this, but I would say first time you show up, always wear a rash guard, and you can ask higher belts, hey, what's with rash guards? Like, what's the etiquette here? Do I have to wear it or not? But in the beginning, you definitely should. As always, make sure your gi is clean and wash it after every time. Wash your belt. No
Please.
One, like, if I see a white belt that is like gray, I'm like, I don't want to roll with you. You're filthy. But what is important, if you look at stereotypes about belts, yeah, what's a white belt like? White belt is this spazzy guy who's just trying to use force to not die or to like crank some submission, get the guillotine, and
as tight as possible.
As tight as possible. And then blue belts, what blue belts do? Blue belts have finally learned like the basic technicalities. Like from every position, they have like one or two moves that they are kind of okay at, and that's how I'm a white belt, so that's kind of how I view what blue belts are. And then purple belts are like the level that like they're toying with everyone and experimenting with so much weird stuff and perfecting their really good techniques. So if you are a white belt, and I assume actually most people listening to BJJ podcasts I think most of them are white belts.
Yeah.
So super simple rule. If you show up at any gym, stop spazzing, roll super light. Like when you kind of slap and bump, yeah, do that move super light, and people know, oh, he likes, instead of this bam bam, yeah, then I can, oh, okay, this is gonna be like I gotta pull guard and play slow, yeah. Whereas if someone slap bumps light, and oh, okay, like he's probably gonna roll light, so start light, be nice to people, like don't crank those submissions. If you see you're against someone who is much weaker than you, and he's trying to escape your closed guard, well, like open that closed guard. Stop being that stubborn. even if you are trying to like perfect your whatever, like back take from a closed guard or whatever, just like chill out. Let people work. Let them be like much softer than you would roll in your own gym when you know people and you have kind of friendships and you have enough trust to kind of go a bit harder against each other. You are at a new gym, so be nice. If you're rolling against higher belts, again, there is nothing you can do about, like, they're gonna submit you. If you're a white belt rolling against a purple belt, there is no technique you can pull off. Like, there's nothing. So maybe instead of being this jumpy, stupid, spazzy white belt, maybe pick a guard pass that you want to try to do it on them. And if you do it right, they will let you pass until like 80-90%, and then they're gonna stop you and just be technical. Don't be just really crazy. I think that's a really, really important thing when visiting new gyms. And if you have been holding him in the triangle for 20 seconds and you can't finish it, like, open it up, let him go, whatever. Try next thing. I mean, let people submit you. Like, submit them. This doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, but this is good advice, not only for white belts, but in terms of going light, it's, I believe, applied throughout, the whole belt levels. Like if you're a purple belt and you come cruising into another gym and you just want to destroy everyone, like A, you're probably gonna meet a mat enforcer, and B, that mat enforcer will probably try to injure you, because like, this is something. This is something yet again referring to my friend. He has been training into like in our gym, in our academy, and in another academy, and he was telling me about his experience in training with the other people there, like in the first couple of times of meeting them. And he's like, man, I'm just going super light, because like if it's a white, blue, or higher belt, I'm just going super light. I'm letting them submit me. I'm just like basically telling them, hey, I'm here to make friends. I'm here to train. I'm not here to prove myself.
Yeah, I'm just talking about white belts because I'm a white belt. And like, what am I gonna talk about? Like,
Hey, it's
I don't
good.
know
It's good.
anything
It's good advice. It's good
any
advice. It's really,
other
really
belts.
sound
The
advice.
only blue belt I had was from Japanese Jiu-Jitsu 10 years ago. So that we didn't even do any, like much ground stuff. So
Okay, so basically we were touching upon, okay, go light, show respect. Any other pieces of advice that you would share with other fellow white belts?
well, definitely reach out to the coach. I said about the rush guard. I think those are the most important things that come to my mind. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, clear communication, basically.
Yeah, and obviously ask like, do you have to wear their gi, or what's kind of like, and always offer to pay even if they want to do it for free. I think that's also a good idea. Offer like, hey, like,
Yeah, just proper
it's just a good
etiquette.
move.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
good move. Like, but I mean, once you tell the people, like the guys there, that you're a dating coach, what are the first questions they ask?
Uh, Actually, they start telling their stories when they were younger, and oh my God, I did this, I did that, and you hear stories that they probably don't tell anyone else. I've met the people I've met just because they know what I do and they open up to me. Uh, Usually, people have strong opinions, which is okay. It's a very sensitive subject. Um, they don't ask many questions. They actually try to, it's like for men it's a very fragile topic to talk about dating, so they would instantly say either that, oh, I used to be this like crazy player when I was younger, again, ego boost, yeah, or some would say, oh yeah, like I'm in a super happy relationship, I don't need any of that stuff, again, like I'm right, you're wrong. That's what kind of is the vibe. That so a lot of the beginning is like that, but then if you meet someone who is, and this comes to their level of success in different fields of life. So the more successful usually they are in different fields of life, the more open they are to ideas, and maybe they are happy with what they have and with what they're doing, but it's always a good conversation that I have with them about their experiences, my experiences, their opinions, my opinions, and they are very respectful, and that really, someone who is insecure will not reach out and ask advice, or have a conversation. Someone who is confident about himself but wants to learn something new, those are actually the guys that will reach out and look for help, and say, hey, you're really good at this, can you teach me? Most guys I've worked with are really successful in other things in life. Maybe they're really good at business, or at what they do at work, or they're crazy ripped from all the stuff they do in gym, or they're ex-military, or good artists, or so the cooler the guy, the better the attitude will be.
But in terms of like BJJ itself, and in terms of like the BJJ and the dating culture, do you encounter like questions or experiences that relate, to dating within the BJJ community?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I actually did a blog post for BJJEE a while back about hitting on girls at a gym, and I think it's a big no-no. But actually, I think a good thing to cover is, if you want to hit on a girl at a gym, maybe let's chat about how to do it in the
Okay,
right way.
so basically, first of all, it's like think about it as a big no-no, but if you really want to, let's consider what you should do.
Yeah, because you can do it in a way that doesn't it doesn't really become an obstacle to it does, like, you can still be at a gym and everyone will be cool, but if it becomes weird, then, well, like, that's not a good thing to do. And why does this happen? So first of all, where do guys meet girls? Well, it's pretty tough for guys to meet girls. So when they go to BJJ, and most of BJJ guys are obsessed BJJ guys. That's all they do. Like 5-6 days a week, they're at the gym. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a main
So
hobby, basically.
yeah,
At least.
their social life is what? Gym, BJJ. So when a girl walks in, if you don't go out much, if you don't gonna hang out with your friends too much, then you don't meet many girls. And if this is all you do, then a new girl walks in, like, oh my God, it's a girl in my life. Wow. So excited. And guys sometimes get overly, and I know some people would get like, this sounded maybe a bit like, but I'm not saying BJJ people are geeks or anything, just in a best possible way. Most guys are really amazing. So please, guys, I'm similar to Serbs. Some people view what I say kind of, they get offended. I'm not like that. I'm all about love. So this girl walks in at the gym, and some guy wants to hit on her. And the most important thing is you have to understand when to back off. If you made one move and you felt she wasn't receptive, done, you're out. Don't continue. Let's say you were chatting to her about BJJ, and then you start chatting while you're resting between rounds, for example, about something else, and she doesn't really seem to respond, or picks up her phone and like checks her Instagram. Maybe take it slow. Or what most guys would do, they would add the girl on Instagram. That's everyone's move, is add the girl on Instagram. So the typical social circle or BJJ dating moves guys have would be follow a girl on Instagram, see if she follows back.
Yeah, it's like a typical tactic.
Everyone knows that. If she follows back, continue. So do you know the next step? You probably know the next step.
If she posts a story or something, like post a reaction.
Before that, as soon as she follows you back, like a few pictures of her.
Oh, right.
Like 3 pictures. If she likes a few pictures back,
then you're golden.
You're golden. Yeah, you're golden. Yeah. Again, if you like a few pictures, she doesn't like them back. I mean, read the signs. Yeah, she's, and yes, you can keep pursuing her, but because this is such a fragile environment, you want to make sure she's really interested, because she has everyone in the gym, or maybe like 1/3 of the guys, following her on Instagram, looking whether she follows them back, and then liking all those pictures. Yeah, everyone is doing that. Girls see that all the time, and it is a problem. Actually, this is a weird thing, but it's kind of bad. It's a very bad thing. But before writing the blog post for BJJ Eastern Europe, I posted in some BJJ groups online for girls to kind of share their experiences, and they said, unfortunately, that they have the worst experiences with black belts.
Oh, the position.
Black belts are the ones, yes, and they are the ones that are kind of more persistent on hitting on girls, and so there are some that are really respectful and know it's a big no-no, but there are some that use that hierarchy position to actually hit on girls fairly aggressively. So you're supposed to show how it's done and how to behave, instead of, and this is not me saying it, this is what girls send me in their stories. And again, let's say she likes a few pictures back, send her a message, chat with her. She responds, perfect, ask her out, she's interested. If you ask her out and she, like, let's say, first of all, when you ask a girl out, you shouldn't say, hey, like, when are you free? Let's go out for something. What do you want to do? We don't ask those questions. Yeah. You say, let's go out for, I don't know, drinker, non-drinker. Let's say I'm a drinker. I'm not like, I do drink alcohol sometimes. I would say, oh, let's go out for a drink, like Wednesday or Thursday. Which one is better? And if a girl says, oh, I can't do these days, and doesn't offer another day, she's very likely not interested. The chance of getting her out is way below 50%. You can try this twice, and if she doesn't come out twice, forget it. Don't text her. Be polite. Remember, fragile environment. Whereas if a girl says, oh, I can't do those days, but how about she offers another day? take the day, go out with her. But if she doesn't offer a day, she's not interested. If she does offer a day when she can't make the ones you suggested, perfect, go out with her.
So basically, it's like you start out with respect, like being respectful, knowing if there's like an even that if there isn't like a nuance, not a nuance, but like that if there aren't any signs that she is interested, back off before you try too hard. This is something that I get a feel like perhaps in some other social settings you can be a little bit more persistent, perhaps you can like break through walls or something, but like in the community which is as tight knit as your BJJ academy, don't do it, because not just because of you or the woman like in front of you, but because of the whole community. And then if there are signs, and this is something that I think is like generally a good piece of advice for men in terms of like dating. Don't be, how would I say, don't be vague. Don't expect her to make a decision like where you're gonna go and sit. Like, okay, for example, as you said, like Thursday, I know Wednesday, Thursday at this time at this bar. Are you free? Let's go then.
Yeah, but offer 2 options. That's important.
Like 2 options for
just say what's better, Wednesday or Friday?
Oh, right.
That's a little trick that actually works really, really, really good. And she's more likely to be able to do one of those days, and then if not, then she's more likely to offer another date. I don't know why, but I've just found it to work way better both for me and my students.
Yeah, and if she doesn't offer a substitute day, she probably isn't interested. But like in terms of like the previous steps, like if you can kind of like, let's say that a guy sees that there's a hint of an interest, of mutual interest from the woman that he's trying to take out on a date with, to go out on a date with, what might be like, this could be termed as like from the perspective of BJJ guys, but from the guys in general, what can a BJJ guy or a guy in general do to set himself aside from all of those other like teammates and BJJ people following her and liking her picture? What can he do to set himself aside?
Well, number one, when a girl asks you what do you do for a living and you do a boring IT job, find an interesting way to answer that question. Yeah, don't be one of the guys just answering to all the questions in a like men talk to each other. It's like, oh, like, yeah, I ride a bike to work and I work in IT and I'm a tester for this type of websites. Find an interesting, like, you can say, oh, I try to kind of break all the websites online. That's my job. I'm like a good type of hacker, or like, so find interesting ways to answer. A lot of that. Another good thing is every guy mostly tries to be super nice to a girl, and whatever she says, oh, that's so interesting. Let's say she works in marketing. Oh, that's so interesting. And she is into, I don't know, pottery, and they say, oh my God, that's so interesting. And whatever the girl will say, guys will say, oh, that's so interesting. And it's kind of like she will say, oh, I like in my free time I kill little puppies. And it's like, oh my God, that's so interesting. Yeah. Don't be like that. Instead, what I really like is in a nice teasing way, be a little bit of a dick. So she says she's into marketing, and well, a nice story I can immediately, I like telling. So how do you tease about it? Let's say you can say something like, oh, you're into marketing. I actually used to work with a lot of people in the marketing, and I learned 2 things about you guys. One is you guys are really hardworking. Like, you have to study so much to actually become good at creating all of that stuff. It's pretty incredible. It's such a competitive environment. But the second thing I learned about you guys, oh my God, where you're not working and you're going out, you're the craziest party people in the world. I can't party as much as you guys can. I can already see you being like that, super serious during the day, but the crazy like party girl on the weekends. So, and instead of saying, oh my God, like you kill puppies, that's amazing. Oh my God, you're in marketing, that's so cool. Tease her a little bit, play with all of this a little bit, be playful, be teasing. So that is really, really important. You don't want to be, everyone is putting her on a pedestal, everyone. So you don't want to be that guy. Also, guys beat around the bush a lot. Like, if you're talking to a girl, then be direct about what you want. You want to take her out for a drink? Go out with her for a drink. Yeah, don't say something like, oh yeah, like, I don't know. Don't friend zone yourself. Guys are friend zoning themselves. That is terrible. Girls aren't friend zoning guys. Guys are letting girls friend zone them. Like if a girl says, I go to a bar with a girl, and I usually, when we get drinks, I'll say, okay, now you have to make a toast. And I make her make a toast. And she would say something like, oh, to new friends. Like, no. I don't have female friends. I've never had one. This is not why we came out. Make a new toast. You're misbehaving. So make sure she knows what's going on, because girls like directness in a way. Of course, you shouldn't be direct about your girl come over and send unsolicited dick pics, yeah, which is something guys should almost never do. But be direct about your intents. You want to go out with her, and if she doesn't go out with you, back off. Be silent for a few days. Give her the silent treatment. And because everyone is trying to hit on her, everyone is in her DMs responding to all of her stories, and especially from the BJJ gym. Don't be that guy. Like, be direct. Ask her out. Go out. So that's super important. But also, it is really important, some guys are, let's say you go with a girl on a date, that's also super important. And whether that's like, it doesn't matter where you met the girl. When you go out, some guys are too slow. They're taking like 3 dates to kiss the girl. And some guys are trying to, like, it depends on the country. There are countries which are first date countries. Like in New York, if you're not trying to get a girl home on a first date, she's probably not going to go out with you on a second date.
Oh, okay.
Especially if she's younger, if she's busy. New York is a very fast city when it comes to dating. Many places in Europe are also most places in Europe, I would say, are first date countries. If you are on a girl with a date, she came out with a reason, she's kind of trying to figure out whether she wants to sleep with you. A girl in Europe will filter you before she comes on a first date. So she's more likely to disappear before the first date. Whereas if you go out in let's say Serbia, I assume Bosnia is very, very similar. Incredible, because all of this area of Balkan area is very similar. It's also similar to Ukraine. It's similar to Russia. You go out here. So if some guys in Western parts of the world are too slow, then here you actually have to be slow. You can't expect to take a girl home on a first date. It's not that first date in this part of the world is kind of, okay, this is the first job interview. And don't even spend more than 1.5 hours on it, because it's not really, you're just kind of meeting for the first time. The second is when you start doing the work. So some guys go too fast, some guys go too slow. So it's really important to know how fast you should go in a specific country. And if guys are traveling, then the sad news is, once you learn, there is a system of how to behave on dates. It's actually very structured, just like you can watch Danaher's DVDs, or like you can watch a
enter the system.
You can watch a video course on what to do on dates. But once you learn it in one country, the tricky thing is, you go to a new country, the model is 90% the same, but you have to learn to adjust to how traditional or how fast the country is. The things that maybe you will do the whole model in one date in I don't know, in Czech Republics, you will do it in 2 dates in Poland, or in Serbia, you would take 3 dates to take all of these steps. So guys kind of have to adjust, and this is, I know it's like a long answer to a simple question, how guys can stand out. But if guys can learn this, girls very much appreciate the guy who not only knows what to do on a date, but is able to read the signs and, oh, should I go faster? Should I go slower? Even Serbia, which is considered to be a very traditional country, I must tell that it appears to be traditional. But it also has a lot of pressure cooker effect, where pressure cooker effect is when a girl is living in a traditional country. which is exposed online or wherever to that there are different ways to look at this in the world. And Belgrade is very much like it. There are very many girls who are very interested in adventures, but they live in a traditional country where they cannot have those adventures. They cannot go home with a guy on a second date, on a first date. But if you are the guy who she sees as oh, I can do it with this guy will not go to the BJJ class and tell everyone that we grappled.
Yeah.
And he didn't even try to pass my guard.
He stayed in close guard the whole time.
Yes. So if a guy knows how this works, both the process and how to be calibrated about it, even in traditional countries, in Serbia, the pressure cooker effect is very high. They have been raised traditionally, but they want to explore so badly that I must admit, Belgrade is a very kinky country, a very kinky city. Just it's not seen outside. Outside you look and it's super traditional, but you even go to a sex shop in Belgrade, and I went there and I was surprised about the selection they have and the quality of brands they have. So it shows that this part of the world is developing and it's changing very, very fast. And if guys know how to adjust to each country, it's unbelievable. Whether they are looking for fun or for something serious, the model is the same. I don't suggest treating girl differently on a date. If a guy is looking for a girlfriend, then he would treat a girl that he wants to just sleep with. You have to respect both of them. You have to try to do the model of fast with both of them, and girls really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for that advice. But I mean, you mentioned two things. Actually, one now and one on the very start of our conversation that I'm really interested in hearing more about. And it's like, okay, you're in Belgrade, you're having all these experiences, you're learning about the culture, about the women there. But you were also mentioning, for example, Mexico and training in the underground gyms, underground BJJ gyms there. In terms of general advice, if you can muster up, like, which are the countries that have like the best mix of the dating world and BJJ academies? Maybe not even countries, but like cities themselves that you visited.
Yeah. Let me think a little bit. So maybe let's do them in like a list from, because one thing, and let's only talk about places that have good BJJ, and then a bit of dating I will add to each country. I went to this really cool, let's just say it was on the west coast of Mexico. It's a beach town. It's very well known for surfing. Mm-hmm. Let's not name the city because it was a lockdown and BJJ gyms shouldn't be open.
Understood.
But people who have been to Mexico or who have been thinking about going to Mexico, they know, or people who surf, they know which city it is. And there is a gym outside. Like you have to take a taxi for like 20 minutes outside of out of the city center, and it's a guy, some rich guy living there who owns like half of the city.
Okay.
And he opened a BJJ gym at his home, and he's a black belt himself. He has other and the level, like for a gym outside of the city center where you have to like drive 20 minutes to get there, you would see brown belts, purple belts, blue belts, only a few white belts. It was like a decent level, definitely. So that was Mexico, I think, is in general for people that travel and can go that far and who live a nomadic lifestyle. If they have not, and this is BJJ Eastern Europe, so I assume most people listening are from Europe. So if they haven't been to that side of the world, I think Mexico is a great place to start. Just because it's completely different, but it's not worse than Mexico safety-wise, than Serbia safety-wise. Mm-hmm. Mexico and Serbia are very similar. I mean, governments are equally interesting and politics are equally interesting. So if you're used to Serbia or this part of the Balkans in general, or many places in Eastern Europe, you will feel okay in Mexico. Just gonna read about the basic safety guidelines that you should pay attention to. Now, if you're talking about something closer, if you're talking about Europe, I would definitely say Prague. Prague is mine. It used to be my number one place where I would take my students, because they have incredible like it's one of the main tourist hotspots in Europe. So you would have single Russian and Ukrainian travelers who are on their first ever solo trip, this big adventure in their life, and they go to Prague, and they are open to a lot of adventures. if you can meet them. And there are a few really cool gyms in Prague. Jungle BJJ is the main one there. Really cool guys, but the other one that I liked more was Penta.
Okay.
Penta MMA gym. It's MMA, wrestling, BJJ, everything kind of in a mix, and it's like the second most popular. That's what I thought. Like the first one is Jungle, and the second one that I like more is Penta. So I actually really suggest going to Penta. It's a bit more like, it's kind of a bit rougher or something like that. Poland, hands down. Poland, as most people involved in BJJ know, is one of the main countries in the world for BJJ. The number of black belts they have there. You can go to Warsaw, you can go to Krakow, you can go to Wrocław or many other cities, and you would have, even in a small city like Wrocław, you would have several BJJ academies, big names there. So Poland definitely is great for young, beautiful Polish girls. We're fairly traditional, but still down to party. I would definitely say Hungary. I visited ZR team in Hungary, an incredible gym. Definitely one of my favorite gyms. When it comes to traveling, not my home gym. Number one gym would be for me Kimura in Serbia, 100%. Love the gym. But the second one I would actually say is a ZR gym in Budapest, Hungary, an amazing place. And if guys want to see some girls that know how to look good, how to take care of their bodies and their style, and also train at an amazing academy, then Belgrade, Serbia, hands down. But that's for guys who want to challenge. If they're going there to meet girls, then it would be a very big challenge to come to Belgrade, Serbia, because girls here think they are very beautiful. I didn't say they are. I said they think they are. They know how to take what they have and kind of put it on display and kind of dress up nicely. And they know they're really, really good at presenting themselves, which comes with some very good things. They're good looking, especially if you haven't traveled a lot and you kind of haven't seen the world. You come here and you're like, whoa. But it comes with some limitations of, they have a bit of sugar culture here, if you know what I mean. Looking for some.
Okay.
Yes. But that's not very common. It's way more common in Ukraine. But so you kind of have to judge if you are looking for something more than just fun. And I would say Belgrade is not a place to come for fun if you're talking about girls, because you always have to ask, am I willing to go on 3 dates with this girl? Am I willing to really spend that much time? And you're not gonna do that for just one-time thing. So, and if guys are coming to Belgrade not just for BJJ but for girls, I would say go on a first date and figure out what's behind that beautiful shell. Is there anything more? Has she seen things? Has she done things? Or has she only been to 2 other countries in the world and it's very limited in her? So Belgrade has very many different types of people, and you have to understand who is kind of living in their little world and thinks they know everything, and who has seen something, experienced. And those people who have experience, they're really, really cool, because people in this part of the world, and I assume that they're similar to other places in Balkans from what I've seen in other places in this area, a lot of them are really amazing people. That's why I came here. I was bored by American friendliness in Mexico. Like, everyone is so super friendly and nice, and they're nice to everyone. And you know that it doesn't mean anything. It's very shallow. Whereas when you come to Eastern Europe or when you come to Balkans, people in the beginning are a little bit cold, a little bit distant. But when they open up, when they let you close, they're some of the nicest and most genuine people I've met in the world. That's why I'm spending my time in Belgrade and many other places in Eastern Europe. People are really, really cool. So I would say that's my list of places to travel to for both girls and BJJ.
And what's perhaps, do you have like, do you have another country, another place in plan in terms of your future travels? Where's your like next station to train BJJ and be a dating coach at?
Oh,
Or is it a secret?
the next country is a secret.
Okay.
We're doing a July thing with that, since so many guys show up wherever we go, just because they know we're there. I'm keeping it, but no. I'll be in Latvia visiting my home gym because that's where I started, Gracie Barra gym in Latvia. That's the best gym in Latvia. My
Opinion
for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to go to New York for a month in September. So I will be doing a month there, mid-September to mid-October. And then I will take a long flight and I will go to Colombia for a few months. I want to go to Argentina for a few months. I started learning Spanish. I want to really polish my Spanish. And Colombia, because I don't know, there are a few things there, interesting things to explore.
BJJ.
You know, BJJ. But Argentina, definitely Argentina but Argentina has been on my list for a while. I don't know how good BJJ is there, but if there is any gym, I will go there. I will go do BJJ. If not, I will find something very similar. But I'll definitely do BJJ there. But Argentina for one simple reason: when I spent in Mexico 3.5 months, and when I stopped a girl on the street and she was really beautiful, most of them spoke zero English and were from Argentina.
Really?
Gotta go to the source.
Okay, like why from Argentina? That's probably because of like economy or something like that.
They were incredibly beautiful. Argentinians are just very, very beautiful. Just like you would look at Russians or Ukrainians as some of the, I would say, like the most beautiful girls in Europe. And then Serbia would come like a close second after Ukraine, probably like Ukraine, Russia, and then Serbia. And then in South America, I think Argentina is
top one.
And BJJ is everywhere. I'm definitely going, like, I'm going to train everywhere. And I want to, even when I will be in New York, I really hope to train there, even though it's so expensive to train there. Oh my God, it's like $250 a month or something.
Yeah.
Oh my
it's
God.
really expensive.
That is ridiculous. Plus you need like really good insurance. That's going to be like another, like probably like 100 or even more. So, but then you can go.
Will you try to go to Hansel Gracie's Academy?
Yes, that is the plan. And because if you do a drop-in, you cannot go to Danaher's class.
Yeah.
But if you train there, you can go to Danaher's class. So I just, I'm a little Instagram host, so I need a selfie with Danaher.
Gonna exchange a few experiences, I think.
Oh man, yeah.
That would be phenomenal. Robert, thank you very much for your precious time and for this precious conversation. We've been talking for almost an hour now. Before we end our podcast episode, is there anything else that you would like to perhaps share with our listeners and viewers?
I would like to share a story or a philosophy that I explain why guys should learn to improve their dating. And it's an interesting thing for me, and even girls, when I tell them this story, they understand what I do, even though I tell them I teach guys to get laid. Imagine a guy imagine an average guy who is dating average girls from either online dating or something else, and when he's dating those girls, he would want to do better. almost any guy would want to do better, because if like you look around at what you can get through online, it's kind of questionable quality. And when that guy finally meets a girl that is, let's call it, out of his league, something that he actually likes, a very beautiful girl, traveled girl, interesting, a girl he doesn't like just for her looks, but she looks good, but she's interesting in very many different aspects, a girl he's not used to. And a guy starts a relationship with that girl. And sooner or later, in any relationship, a girl will do one simple thing. She will kind of test a little bit, how much shit can I get away with?
The shit test, right?
Yeah. Oh, you know some terms. It's
Yeah.
like she will in a relationship, she will kind of test, how much can I do? How much will he allow me to do? And they're not doing it intentionally. They're just kind of testing the waters. And even when I tell this to girls agree to this, and it's like, yeah, of course, like, because girls talk to me very openly about very many things. So that's, oh yeah, like that's totally true, 100%. And when that guy sees that, he has an option to agree to whatever she says, or to kind of, in a calibrated, nice way, to show her, chill out. Yeah, this is how things are going to work. And since that girl is out of his league, something that he's not used to, the guy knows if he breaks up with this girl, he will have to go back to the girls he used to date before, to that level, which is way worse. And now the guy is afraid to lose the girl. So this relationship is based on, his behavior is based on fear of losing the girl. And so he will let the girl do many things to get away with very many not very nice things, or not that crazy things, but whatever. He will let the girl to do many, many things. And the girl, as soon as she sees the behavior, that's not what she signed up for. She doesn't want a guy anymore. And very often she will, well, some girls will, I don't like that there exist girls like that, or just as I don't like guys that lie to girls, but some girls will use the guy because of that. That's a small percentage, and it's not worth really talking about. But most of the girls will realize, oh, this guy has like no frame, is like not even a man. Like, I'm gonna find someone else, and we'll dump the guy. So girls don't want that. Girls want a guy who knows how to take control in a nice way, not without being a dick, not without calling her names and screaming at her, but a girl knows when that's happening. And imagine if that guy, the same guy, instead of starting to date that girl, he would learn how the dating world works, and he would be able to get, like, let's start first with sleeping. He would know he can be with that girl or 50 other girls just as hot. And then at one point, he decides, okay, I've done all this crazy stuff. I met all these girls, and now I want to start a relationship. And he decides, okay, I'll start a relationship. And he sees the girl, and he's, oh, she's cool, she's beautiful, she's interesting, well-traveled, whatever. I'm going to start a relationship with her. And now the relationship is based on his choice, not on fear of losing her. And now when she starts misbehaving, since he has so much experience with girls, he knows how to handle all these behaviors in a very nice way, in a way that girl will respect, but also she will behave better. And now a girl tests him and sees, oh, he didn't just like a turtle that lay on his back and do whatever you want. He was a man. He kept his frame, and now a girl likes that much better. And this guy is in a beautiful relationship and they both respect each other, just as he knew he has options, but he chose not to stop chasing tail and build this beautiful relationship. And I think it's a beautiful idea to understand that it is important for guys to go through their period of whatever we call it, doesn't matter, before they decide to settle down. And yeah, that's, I think, a good message to end on.
Yeah, I think it's really important, but on a whole other deeper level as well. And it's like you yourself have to be more important to yourself than anybody else, basically, if you want to be respected and if you want a good relationship with that person. Because, and this is something that I think a lot of BJJ guys will, will have going for them. It's like most of the times, like BJJ holds a very deep place in our hearts, and it's also something that makes us very interesting. It makes, like, what do you do for a hobby? I strangle people, or
Yes.
choke. Although, Danaher would say strangle because it's oxygen, not blood. Not because it's blood, not oxygen. But it's like, if something is more important, and BJJ, this should be, I believe, like applied, like never leave BJJ because of a woman. You'll hate yourself and you'll hate her as well. If there's something more important than the woman herself, and in our case, that would be BJJ, you're going to build a much better relationship than if you make it all about her.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Robert, thank you very much for your time, and I hope to talk to you soon sometime.
Thank you.